So today we're going to look at adding in PDSAs. So I'm going to sit in the DET2 site, and just to let you know that all facilitators are able to access this site as a reporter. So it just gives you the option to go in and test the PDSA functionality for yourself. So if we go in, you'll see that we can click on the report tab. And as I'm a facilitator at this site, I have both the add PDSA and the summary button. So if I wanted to add a PDSA, I'd click on this button here. If I wanted to look at the quarterly report, I can click on the summary, and you'll see here that the quarterly report has been set up, and I can theoretically go in and have a look, enter in some information. All the counts are done automatically based on the PDSAs that are entered in the system. I can go down the bottom and click Leave Open and continue editing later. But for now, we're going to look at the PDSA reports. So as I said, if you want to go into that demo site, you can act, because you are acting as reporters, it means that you'll have just the Add PDSA button. So I'm going to show you how to add a PDSA. Now, the reporter automatically defaults to me, and I'm going to select a groundwork. So the groundwork that you can select has to be entered in the Manage tab. If you haven't entered that, you'll have to go back to the Manage tab and make sure that you've got the correct groundwork added. If I'm going to do a PDSA here, I'm going to say we're going to do an MCH PDSA. The title is going to be something that means something to me. So for me, it's going to be MCH to visit local shopping centre. Now, obviously, it relates to MCH. If it also related to ECEC, you could click on both, or you could just have one, ECEC, not MCH. You can select the dates that this starts. These are indicative dates only. As you can see, they're target dates, so it doesn't matter if this is not the final date. I'm going to click on Create. When you click Create and then Proceed, what you'll see is you have the PDSA form a bit more comprehensively here. So this information at the top here is automatically generated. When it comes to following PDSA, what you can do is you can say that this might be connected with a previous PDSA that's been run. So maybe it related to this MCH nurse to attend the community immunisation session. So by clicking on that, it's just a link that's made within the system to show that this is a PDSA that follows on from an earlier PDSA. So when it comes to the change idea, I select this as the change idea because it followed on from that one. That's what I would do in a normal circumstance. Because we're going to say that this is actually a brand new PDSA, so we'll say none. And the change idea that it relates to can be something around perhaps the pop-up MCH session, just for argument's sake. Generally, if I found that the change idea wasn't here, that I needed it to relate to, then as facilitators, you can go back to the Manage tab, to the Plan tab, and update your groundwork to include the change ideas that you do need to be displaying here. As soon as you enter in your change ideas in the Plan tab, so if I click here, and so it's the active outreach one. So say if we go to View, you can see there's a message here saying that some change ideas have already been selected for activities, so you can't change them once they've been added. But I'm going to enter in a new idea, and this idea is going to be MCH nurse to visit a shopping centre. And then I click on Update. And then now when I go back to the Report tab, you can see here, this is it's been started. So I can click on Edit. And now this will allow me to select, we're saying it's none because it doesn't actually follow a PDSA. But the change idea that I just entered, you'll see now is sitting here in this drop-down menu. So the rest of the PDSA is effectively the same as the template previously. So this is where we enter a really brief update on what tasks are going to be done. So in this case, it might be MCH nurse will visit the local shopping centre. When we talk about who, it's going to be the MCH nurse. We'll put a bit more information here. We'll say visit local shopping centre and reach out to families with young children to make key age and stage visit appointments. When we come down to if there's any leave plans, there's no leave scheduled for the MCH nurse, but it's school holiday time, so some families may be away. Now, the dates that sit in this part of the template are the ones that are automatically generated based on what you put in previously. In terms of where it will be conducted, you put in the name of the local shopping centre. So what do we predict will happen? We predict that the nurse will meet some new families who haven't engaged in the service and make appointments. Are there any barriers? No barriers noted. If so, well, in this case, there's none. So just put that in there. What data will you need to collect to see? Well, in this particular instance, you'll be looking at the number of appointments made, and then also the number of families who attended those appointments. Baseline data, we have 0 families who have been engaged this way. Actually, we might also want to collect the number of families who are up to date with their key age and stage visits. That sort of gives us a more complete picture. So what might happen is that we put this particular bit of information in, and then we're going to do another day. So we come right down the bottom and we click on update, which then means that we can update this at any other time. So you can see here there's a list of PDSAs that are active at the site. Any that I have actually created as the reporter, I have edit access to. Any that somebody else has done, I can view. So that means you can click on it and view the PDSA without actually editing it. You only have edit access to anything that you are a reporter for. So I'll go back to editing, and you'll see that the information that I just put in has been saved. So now we can go and put in the correct start date. So we'll say that it actually started on the 25th of September. And we'll discuss here what happened. The MCH nurse visited the shopping centre. It was a really wet day, so not many families were out. However, she did manage to catch up with 15 families in an hour period. That actually seems like a lot. Anyway, so then the complete date was done on the same day, so the complete date is also the 25th. When we reflect on the results, that's exactly the same thing here. We don't put in a whole heap of information. The idea is just to have enough information to explain what's going on and what's happened and what were the key learnings. So if we say, was a PDSA executed as planned? It was executed as planned, but no new families were identified. What were the key learnings? A lot of families perhaps didn't like being, they might not have liked being spoken to on the street, or whatever the key learning might have been. So in this case, we'll just put a lot of families are up to date with their key age and stage visits. So change data, no new families identified. And so it's basically, it can be as simple as this. It doesn't have to be a really extensive amount of information that's put into the PDSAs. But in this case, what we might say is that the nurse decides to adapt when we come down to the ACT section. And the adaptation might be because they think that it would be done better if they went at a different time to the shopping centre, or if they went to a different shopping centre or stood in a different place, or whatever the idea might be, because often you can try something and it completely fails, in inverted commas fails, but you've learnt something from it, and it can be that you might implement that learning in a different way. So in this case, we might say that we're going to adapt it and try running the session at a later time. Now, you may have had more information in there, but in this case, because I could either update it here and leave open and continue editing later, but in this case, what I'm going to do is click on Close and Submit to the Site Facilitator. I could obviously also delete this report, but for this example, we'll close and submit to the Site Facilitator. So I'll click on Update. Okay. Now, as I'm the facilitator here as well as the reporter on this one, it now allows me the option to assess this because it's been submitted. So if I click on the Assess button, you'll see that it now gives me read-only access because I'm assessing it as the facilitator as opposed to editing it as the reporter. And so what I might do, I can come down here and make the assessment of approve, return or delete. So if I were to approve it, then that would be finished and the PDSA would be completed. But in this case, I'm going to return it. So I might say, why are you running the session at a later time? Can you explain more in the do section so that we understand why you're trying this? And we click on update. And so now it's gone back to the original reporter. So now, because I'm also the reporter, I get edit access once more. So if I click on edit and go down, right down the bottom here, I can see that there's the comments here for me. So I can actually work out why it is the facilitators return that to me. So in this case, what I might say is no new families were identified. It felt as though a lot of families weren't out because it was very early in the day and during school holidays. So that's enough of an explanation. So I figure that's fine as the reporter, sorry. So now I'm going to close and submit to the facilitator again. And then again, you'll see that it comes up as assess because as the facilitator, I now get to assess it. So just to show you, when a report is underway and hasn't actually been finalised or sent to the facilitator, then it'll have this underway status. There are a couple of other statuses that it could have. So here, I've returned this one just so that you can see how a returned PDSA looks. This one's been approved. This one's been submitted but not yet assessed. And this one down here has been deleted. So any PDSAs that have been deleted will not be visible to reporters, but they will be visible just to the facilitator. So that is essentially how you add a PDSA. If you've got any questions about that, let me know.